This is Smith and Wesson M&P 22 Winchester Magnum, Range Report 2. With the break from the heat, I think everyone arrived at Banner at the same time today, so we do have some background noise. See if you can pick out the fancy air rifle in the background. And now, let's hit the range! Alright, here we are back out at the beautiful Banner range, taking a second look at the Smith and Wesson M&P 22 Magnum pistol here today. This will probably be a quicker video than our first range report on it. Just going to do some follow-up thoughts after, handling the weapon a little more. And then also today I'm going to fire at a 25 target with the iron sights, which are well not mounted yet on purpose, just to get sort of a baseline on how we shoot the firearm at 25 yards with the iron sights. Yeah, the dot is bigger than the whole individual 5 circles on their own. To top left target. We'll do 10 shots and then we'll check. Let's finish out the magazine at that same spot. And we'll load it up with VMAX and shoot the top below. Here we go. Rear. Okay, this will be 25 shots. I wanted a VMAX, top right. Previous video, I would say of the 2 ammos that we tried, I first wanted a VMAX. Today we have a 3rd ammo that we're adding in, which we'll be shooting next, which is the Federal Premium Spear TM hollow point, 30 grain. This is the 30 grain VMAX 500. We'll do 10 shots again like we did before and then check our target. Oh. Sure. Reload. So. Alright, let's
use
check
your
our
bag?
Yep. Let's finish out the max. Alright, let's do 25 shots now with the Spear CCI or Federal Premium Spear.
It's like two of them.
TN
Inside the square.
You did? Hollow point.
Yeah.
Let's get black. It's on fire. I'm gonna aim at the target since we've not fired this ammo before. I suspect. We do 10 shots, check our target, and finish out the mag, same as the last two. On the center, we'll know where we're doing. All right, here we go. Someone flew back and hit me in the face. Looking at our target for the first time here today, we can see that, well, we didn't really put a group on paper. We put holes on paper. I have a tendency to shoot this firearm a little to the left. I think that's a threefold problem. Probably 35% of that is I forget when it's combat sights versus 6 o'clock low. I should take the crew's advice and put a little sticky note on the storage box of what we're reviewing over a period to keep that in mind, because that would have tightened up our groups a little if I had known. Probably 33% of that is shooting at 25 yards at a target like this where you don't get feedback with every shot, because I can't see the holes on the paper at that range without bending down and looking at target cam. So I don't know to adjust one way or the other between sets. So you end up putting basically half your shots one way, half the other, widens out your group. Negatively affects the precision of our groups here throughout the video today, unfortunately. And probably 1% of that we're going to say is maybe 30%, however you're going to math it, I haven't been paying attention, is on how big the green dot is on the firearm compared to the target that we're shooting at. I'm shooting at one, like say the top left target here. The big green fiber optic at 25 yards is 30% larger in diameter than that target. So it's really hard to get an accurate shot and then get much precision because of how big that dot is compared to the target. Now let's go back to the range and see what we can do at just the center of the target. What we're going to do for our final test today is I put up a fresh target at 25 yards. We're going to do 25 shots. 25 cents. And I have 2 random rounds, 2 also at the middle of the target. Here we go. Alright, let's check our target. If you want to look down, grip angle slightly here. Looking at our target one final time here today, we see a combination of, had I shot 6 o'clock low on this last set instead of using the combat sight picture, and not shot a smidge to the left like I have a tendency to do with this firearm, I would have been one bullseye down and to the right, and probably pretty centered. An unspectacular group here on paper, but I think after this set we do have what we're going to call a semblance of a grouping, and I think most of the lack of precision on this grouping has to do with the big green fiber optic sight and how you really lose the pinpoint accuracy and precision potential the further out you go, as that big fiber optic further and further obscures your target. If you're still watching at this point and you enjoyed the video, think about mashing those like and subscribe buttons. Not only does it help the channel with that algorithm everyone talks about, but more importantly, it helps a good cause. The money we get from Google for the content on this channel is donated to charity, 100% of it. The first check we got from Google wasn't much, a little over $122, but every little bit helps. I picked two charities that are important to the crew: the Children's Hospital of Orange County and the Community Food Bank of Central Alabama. Half of that check went to each organization, plus a little extra to cover all the fees. Good times. When we say thanks for watching, we really do appreciate it. Your viewership helps us do something positive with firearms related content. Thanks for watching. We have reached the conclusion to another video. After approximately 500 rounds and a few ranged trips, the Smith and Wesson M&P 22 Winchester Magnum pistol is proving to be a very fun range shooter. Now that I have a better handle on how to properly load the magazines and spot the potential nose down failure setup, since those two failures shown in our first video, the firearm has been 100% reliable. Overall, in my experience, I'd say 22 Magnum in general is more reliable than 22 long rifle as far as issues like a failure to fire is concerned. A lot of that probably has to do with what it seems like 22 Magnum ammo being more what I'd call premium compared to 22 long rifle. Most average shooters like this channel tries to represent probably shoot bulk box 22 long rifle more often than premium 22 long rifle. I also suspect 22 Magnum firearms tend to have a heavier hammer spring setup compared to a 22 long rifle only firearm, but I have no empirical evidence to back that up. You could call that a from the gut fact. The reliability of this M&P 22 Magnum firearm so far I find to be a big plus. Later this fall, the crew and I will do a comparison against one of our favorite firearms, the AMT Auto Mag 2. While the Auto Mag is a huge favorite and always reminds me of my childhood days when I first saw RoboCop and said, I want to do that. Besides being extremely fun to shoot, the AMT is also extremely ammo sensitive. As mentioned in our first range report, one idea we have found people have when we discuss the M&P 22 Magnum is that it is the perfect truck backpack firearm due to having that 30-round magazine in non-YouTube states. I'm not a fan of leaving a firearm unattended in a vehicle, but as a test, off camera, I did put the M&P in a day pack and truck around. At 22 ounces unloaded, one would think with 2 fully loaded magazines, it has to be noticeably heavier, right? Nay, nay. In a situation where weight matters, but you can accommodate a full-size firearm, this M&P 22 Magnum might be something to consider. As far as weight goes, compared to other pack guns, other than tiny pocket firearms, this is among the most unnoticeable weight-wise so far in my experience. If there is one downside to this firearm as a pack gun, it might be the magazine release. After a few range trips now, even in the hand, I can see it being one where potentially some shooters will inadvertently hit the magazine release when firing, depending on their grip. In a pack, I found normal jostling enough to where when I checked later, the magazine was partially ejected from the firearm. The M&P 22 Magnum has what some will find to be an awkward combination of narrow grip with a very long grip depth. The length and rimmed nature of 22 Winchester Magnum make for a challenging combination as far as grip size to magazine capacity relationship in my experience. Single stack Winchester Magnum pistols I find to be closer to the Goldilocks zone and more customizable in that regard compared to a double stacked high capacity 22 Winchester Magnum pistol. The huge trade-off is those high capacity pistols can have an immense capacity advantage that is almost beyond comparison to a single stack cousin. Let's finish this video discussing the sights on the firearm. At multiple points in this video, I've mentioned the large fiber optic front sight. At multiple points in the video, you might have noticed that large fiber optic front sight was shown and be very visible in full bright conditions. Being very easy to see is very nice, but on the flip side, that same extremely large dot comes at the expense of pinpoint accuracy and precision. On a side note, I'm pretty sure the M&P 22 Magnum has the same front sight as the Ruger Security 380. With how large that dot is, and how a consumer like me might consider this more a ranged target shooter, it feels like Smith and Wesson almost intends for you to mount a micro red dot on the firearm if you're going to engage targets beyond 15 yards, in my opinion. But that's just my thoughts. Obviously the crew is heavily divided on where this pistol sits in the tool tree. Our next videos on this firearm will feature it with a micro red dot sight attached. Many reviews have featured the firearm with such a setup already. Not everyone prefers a micro red dot, so we thought it would be nice to assess the firearm using the stock sights for those individuals. Plus, we wanted to set a reliability baseline before having something attached to the slide. Occasionally, we've ran into random minor issues related to an attached optic, so we wanted to have an idea of how the firearm functioned before adding another element to that equation. With a micro red dot attached, provided the reliability remains unchanged, I foresee the precision of these groups going way up. Let us know your thoughts on the topic in the comments below. Hopefully you're looking forward to finding out as much as we are. Well anyway, this video seems long enough by now. If you're still here, as always, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Don't forget to like and subscribe so Freddy gets his biscuits.